your grad students or grad assistants or anybody else, what do they do in terms of putting the game plan together for the scout team? And then also, do they factor in some of your tendencies that you mentioned earlier, things that you guys do?
Yeah, our graduate assistants do a great job. Those are thankless jobs. They don't make a lot of money, and they're trying to climb up the coaching ladder. And all of our graduate assistants will eventually be full-time coaches somewhere. They're really good, sharp guys. So yeah, they basically, we start our meetings at 2:45, and then we're out on the field at 4:20 for quarterback center exchange. And around 4 o'clock, both Dirty Show teams are out there with the GAs on the other side of the ball. Defensive GAs take the offensive scout team, offensive GAs take the defensive scout team, and they're going through the plays that they're going to run versus the offense and defense. So it's very much of a little bit of choreography there that goes into getting those guys ready for practice. And then with the cell scout, the GAs put all that stuff together, and a lot of times, we miss something, they point it out to us, hey, look, coach, you better be careful on this P and 10, which is the first play of a drive, you're always doing this, or things like that. So they're instrumental in our whole operation.
Bill, what's the reaction been amongst recruits since the sanctions have been reduced?
Well, I think it's been positive. I've talked to a few of them. We're only allowed one phone call a week right now. I believe it's been positive. And again, it's positive news for Penn State. Our guys feel really good about it here. Our coaching staff, we're very, very focused on Indiana. Our players, I wouldn't even bother asking our players about that. They won't answer it, I promise you. So, I just think that our guys are pleased with the news, but we're very focused on the Indiana game.
And then you have 2 games and then another bye. Do you push these guys any harder knowing that there's another bye week, 2 weeks away? Or?
Yeah, that's a good question. We pushed them pretty hard last week. So last year during our first bye week, we practiced 3 times. Last week we practiced 4. And 3 of those practices we were in full pads. So we practiced pretty hard. We practiced hard last night. We went to a little bit of a longer Monday practice because we had the bye week. Now, all of that's predicated on where you are injury-wise. You know what I mean? So once we get to the next bye week, which is I think after Michigan, we'll have to again regroup there and see where we're at and see how hard we can go.
Hey Bill, with Miles Diffenbach, he seems like always a pretty positive guy, and I know he won your commitment award in the spring with Mike Hull. What is how does his attitude kind of help shape the offensive line, would you say?
Every team needs a Miles Diffenbach. He's a good player, he's a good student, he's a very, very good guy, and he's very funny guy. He keeps it loose. He's got good timing, he's got a great sense of humor, he's got good timing with it. Just a good guy. Every good team that I've been around has a guy like Miles Diffenbach. So he does a good job. He's much improved player. He's one of our most improved players from last year. He's playing very well for us. Got to keep it going. Now's the true test in the Big Ten schedule. But he's had a really good year thus far for us. Another Pittsburgh guy.
Bill,
those guys from Pittsburgh.
Indiana's utilized another quarterback, Roberson, a little bit this season, and he's actually listed as an or on the depth chart for Indiana this week. Have you guys paid much attention to him, or has most of the focus in the film room right now been on Sudfeld and stopping him?
Yeah, we pay attention to whoever's on the film. Yeah, we pay close attention to whoever plays on the film, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. Everybody gets paid attention to. Everybody gets evaluated. That's why we're in there from 6 a.m. to 11:30 every night trying to figure it out. So, yeah, we paid attention to him, and we pay attention to everybody that shows up on the tape.
Bill, I thought you had, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I thought you had ruled out Kaiser last week.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Neil. Yeah, he wasn't on here because he had. Yeah, he's out for the game. He could possibly be back from Michigan. My fault.
Okay. And the Little League game.
Not a doctor.
Doubleheader in Lewistown?
No, it should have been though. I mean, it is unbelievable. It's actually a very good team they play on, state college team. And my kid's one of the youngest players on the team. They got a great coach, Greg Albert, who went to Penn State. They got a great coaching staff, so it's fun to watch, but it was a marathon.
Bill Obeng has proved himself a pretty versatile player. Obeng, Stephen Obeng.
Yeah,
He's proven himself a pretty versatile player for you guys at a pretty key time. Can you remember back, whether it be in training camp or in spring ball, when you realized maybe he could be an option there at linebacker, and how did you kind of come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I think from the day we walked in here, it wasn't just last spring. I thought that he was a guy that was a definite, because of his size, speed, toughness, his instincts, that he could be a safety or a linebacker from the day we got here when we started winter conditioning 20 months ago. He's a well-built guy. He's tough. He plays hurt. Just a great guy to have on the team guy. So we've always looked at him as a guy that could play either safety or linebacker.
Could you assess what Ryan Kaiser being out means to Sam Pickett in the kicking game? Obviously, Butterworth had the hold at the end of the Kent State game, but can you just assess what changing holders at this point could mean to the kicking game?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay there because Alex holds for Sam during practice. When they're out there, when Kais is playing safety. So, obviously Kais is our starting holder, and that's not easy when the holder goes out. But I think knock on wood, that we'll be okay there because Alex does that quite a bit with Sam.
You mentioned watching the Saints last night. How much NFL do you watch anymore, or did you just kind of take advantage of it because of the bye week?
Yeah, no, I watched like the first half of the game. I try to watch. I mean, I have it on, or I'm getting ready for Indiana, or maybe I'll take a 15-minute break and watch some of the things. I love watching the Saints offense. I think they do a fantastic job. So yeah, I'll watch some of that stuff.
Coach, I have two questions for you. First off, heading into Big Ten play, last year there was a decent amount of talk about the Big Ten conference as a whole kind of taking a step back. How would you assess the Big Ten conference as a whole moving forward, based, I guess, on the limited amount of time you've gotten the chance to see them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look at it as when we take the field, Big Ten, I'm talking about the Big Ten, that we have a chance to win every game we take the field. We got to play well. We have to, not turn the ball over, play good football. I think we have some really good teams in this league this year. Obviously, Ohio State's a good football team. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess there's some statistics out there that say that one conference wins more games, and obviously the Southeastern Conference is a fantastic league. I mean, nobody's going to debate that, and probably the best in the country right now. But I think we have some really good players and some really good coaches in this league, and I think all of that is kind of cyclical, to be honest with you.
And on a little bit of a different note, at what point would you say, or what was the main reason that you knew Coach Mac McWhorter would be a good fit for this Penn State football program?
Well, I had coached with him at Georgia Tech, and just, he was a guy, I've coached with a lot of great line coaches. Dante Scarnecchia in New England, Doug Marrone when I was at Georgia Tech, Ralph Friedgen was a line coach, Pat Watson, who none of you guys probably have heard of, was one of the best line coaches of all time in college, coached with us at Georgia Tech in Georgia. Joe Delisandris, who's now the line coach of the San Diego Chargers. I mean, I could list them on and on and on. And what stood out to me about Mac and that group of guys, just like all of them, all the great ones, is that they understood the big picture. So, and they were very, very detailed and good with their players. They were tough, they were fair, their players were very close to them, they were honest, and I knew that Mac would be a great fit for our program here at Penn State because of all those things.
Coach, follow up on Mark's question earlier. Is Brad Barzildi into a medical redshirt possibly as well? Is he in that process too?
You know what? I don't know. Yeah, I guess. A lot of 60-year questions today. I'm just worried about Indiana, man.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the pass rush against Indiana. Specifically, you said in the bye week that you're looking at individuals. With Deion Barnes, what have you seen on film from him through 4 games? Have you seen him getting more attention from offensive lines? And do you think that could, kind of factor into his relatively slow start?
Yeah, no, I think he's had a really good year for us. I think people have definitely paid attention to him. I mean, you would if you're playing Penn State and this guy was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. You're not going to let him disrupt the game. So you're going to make sure that you either chip him or put a tight end over him or do things like that. And Deion's played well. He's a guy that stays after practice every day, works on stuff on his own. Just a fantastic guy, Philly guy. Tough. he's to me, he's playing fine.
Bill, how often, speaking about the Saints and what they do on offense, as the game of football constantly evolves and changes every year at every level, how often do you look to stay ahead of the curve with what you can do on offense by either using tight ends, using all kinds of different running backs?
Yeah, I think you have to. You have to try to stay ahead of the curve, and you have to do it based on what you have, and then based on what you believe in. Based on, so I believe in certain things offensively. I believe in running the football. I believe in having diverse ways to run the football. I believe in throwing the ball accurately. I believe in smart players. I believe in tough players. I believe in team players. So what I try to do is, with our staff, is look at all the things that go into that, and then making sure, okay, these are who we have for this year. Okay, what can we do to help these guys, on both sides of the ball, be the best players they can be? So yeah, one of the things you do there to do that is to study other people and see what other people are doing.
Take one more.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned that Mike Hull, got hurt on a clean chop block, but with, the headshots and those kind of hits becoming more prevalent, more, in the spotlight, people are also talking about, chop blocks and should they, remain a part of the game. What's your take on that?
Well, again, I think there's an appropriate area to perform a cut block. I think that when you're head up on a guy and it's one-on-one, and you're not coming at an angle especially from the outside in, you're head up on this guy right here, I can cut block him. But what I think needs to be called better is when an offensive lineman, or just take an offensive lineman for instance, stands the linebacker up, and then the adjacent guy comes in and cuts that guy, which is a penalty and gets called, but I think it needs to be called more. That's what I think we have to do a better job of just seeing. And I'm not saying a better job of officiating, I just think that's something we all have to just make sure we pay attention to.